If your ABS ring is broken and you can't replace it, why not fit a new CV joint and use these simple DIY tools to get that ABS light off. Locking the drive shaft in the vise, I sharpen a fillet screwdriver with a file, just enough for it to fit under the front CV boot clamp tabs, and pry them up, allowing the clamp to be slackened and removed. I repeat the same process for the rear. Using a Stanley knife, I cut vertically down the boot and move it out the way. I then remove the grease from the shaft and identify the inner CV boot seal groove. From the CV removal kit, I take the 2 blocks and make sure that they fit snugly into the groove. Rotate and pull, they shouldn't slip. Once that's confirmed, fit the fork over the CV shaft, then use the original hub nut and wind it on until it's flush with the end of the shaft. Place the block with the 2 ends into the groove, letting it slot into the nearest holes. Fit the other block on top, then wind in the 2 supply bolts evenly and tighten them down with a ratchet. Take up any slack on the shaft nut, place the ratchet over the nut and begin winding. If the shaft starts to slip in the vise, that means the circlip is resisting and hasn't fully compressed yet. Stop here, use a crowbar to counteract the movement, then continue winding. In my case, as soon as I apply the crowbar, the circlip compressed. That's the noise you just heard, and once it did, the joint unwound easily. The affiliate link for this tool can be found in the description. With the shaft fully wound, the job was complete, and I was able to remove the CV joint cleanly. I used brake cleaner and a cloth to clean the shaft, revealing the circlip. Use a screwdriver to pry it off, then apply more brake cleaner to ensure the groove is completely free of debris, dirt or grease. Time to assemble the new CV joint kit. Before fitting the boot, apply a coat of the provided grease over the shaft. This helps the boot slide on easily. Take the new circlip, angle one side into the groove, hold it in place with your hand and use a screwdriver to pry the other end into position. Coat the inside of the boot with grease to help it flow once the joint is assembled. Rest the CV joint slightly against the shaft and use a small screwdriver to tuck the 2 tail ends of the circlip into the joint so they don't bind later. Then, using only your hands, push the CV joint fully into position. There are 6 ball bearings. Each one needs to be greased properly. Bend the shaft down to start with the first bearing. Push grease into the cavity and spread it around. Then, rotate the shaft and repeat this process for the remaining 5 cavities. Once all are greased, rotate the shaft again, go back around to make sure the bearings are fully covered and place the remaining grease on top. Finally, close the boot, making sure both ends fit snugly into their grooves. I'm going to look at 3 options for clamping CV boots. First up is this wind tool, designed for this type of clamp. Press the tab down, pull it out and stretch the clamp from the inside until it's large enough to fit over the boot. Pull the free end to take up as much slack as possible. Feed it through the nose of the tool, under the cutter and into the winding slot. Leave about 1 millimeter of length. This gives you enough material to start the bend. Then, wind the handle clockwise, tightening the clamp as far as you can, right up to the buckle. This tool needs to rotate 90 degrees upward as you wind. If the cutter handle gets in the way, stop, use an Allen key to remove it, and refit the handle on the opposite side before continuing. Now, take up the remaining slack, rotate the tool 90 degrees and apply more tension to the wind. This forms the clamp, holds it in place and prevents it from slackening. Then, with your other hand, pull the cutter anti-clockwise to trim the excess. Bend it over and use the tool to push it down slightly. With the same tool, finish by pushing in the tabs from either side. I'll test it now. Solid and tight. That's not going to move. I do recommend this method, however, it does take a bit of practice. Next is this block tool, which should give the perfect crimp. Place the supply crimp band into position and wrap it tightly around the boot. Then, press the clips down to lock it in. You should still be able to rotate it like this. I place the block on top where it needs to crimp. Push down and start winding the nut with a ratchet. As I begin winding, I notice it isn't crimping evenly. The blocks and the tool are bending, which doesn't help. For a tool that's meant to remove the skill from the process and deliver a perfect, uniform crimp, This just won't do. I could correct it with another tool, but that defeats the purpose, so I remove it. I'm going to use the crimp bands that came with this kit. These are common and universal. Once it's clipped into place, I use this cheap crimping tool, place it over the crimp and squeeze the handles together. The result is typical, not far off the other tool I used, but the difference here is that I can easily correct it with the same tool. Simply angle the crimper so that the end that needs pushing in is on the bottom and the opposite end is at the top. Squeeze the handles again and you can see that it starts to form a perfect uniform finish. I apply the tool once more to fully lock it down. This is tight, solid, and you can also see that the circular reference is sitting perfectly in the middle. I now apply the same technique to the inner side. The beauty of this tool is that you don't need to nail the perfect shape of the first crimp. In fact, I didn't here, I actually overcorrected, but that's fine because you can easily bring it back. I fully recommend this tool and you can find the link in the description. All done. This will solve your ABS issue if your ring was cracked. If you found value in this video, subscribe and I'll be delivering more content like this.